Hey, we look at Psalm 132 today as we continue our journey through the book of Psalms with the co-pastors. We hope that you're watching the videos and engaging with them, thinking about them, meditating on them. Psalm 132 is unique in the Ascent Psalms. It really looks backwards at a historical moment in Israel's life and then looks forward to an ultimate ideal. And it kind of paints David in a really good light as he is zealous for God's presence. But then as we keep reading, it seems like David can't fulfill all that the psalm points to. And so it leaves us with this sense of emptiness, yet anticipation for the reality that Jesus fulfills what David couldn't fulfill. Does that make sense to you? And so Jesus is, and his kingship as the perfect priest, the perfect king, and the perfect city, with the perfect kingdom, ultimately fulfills all that the city of Zion and the king of Israel and the presence of God there, they just couldn't fulfill because of their disobedience. And so Jesus is the ultimate fulfillment. And so the Psalm 132 points us back to the moment when the Philistines had captured the ark, and so they overran the Israelites and stole the ark. The ark is the representation of not just the representation, it is the presence of God for the people of God. And so they were defeated, the ark was stolen, and it was forgotten about during Saul's era. And so David makes his way to the throne, and he remembers that they don't have the Ark of the Covenant, nor the presence of God. And so David decides that they're going to bring it back to Jerusalem, the holy city. And so, I mean, it's a big deal. David, it's a parade. It is a national event. And so they assemble 30,000 young men. And so it was 8 miles west of Jerusalem. And so they assemble there and they begin to process to Jerusalem. And they get a new cart, and they have oxen, and Uzzah and Ahio are guiding this with all these young soldiers as they march towards Jerusalem. And then there's this moment on a threshing floor where the cart tips and the ark slides, and Uzzah grabs the cart and keeps it from falling down, and Uzzah dies because he touches the ark. And so there's this moment of fear and anger that David has, like, whoa, what have I gotten myself into? And so he parks the ark at Obed-Edom for 3 months, and just because he's afraid. And during those 3 months, Obed-Edom is blessed because the ark is there, and so this renews David's passion. And so with greater care and greater vigor and more dancing and more celebration and more instruments, he resumes his zealous activity to bring the Ark of the Covenant back to the city of God. And so this psalm reflects on that moment and how David was zealous and did what he should have done. It says this: Lord, remember David and all his self-denial. He swore an oath to the Lord. He made a vow to the Mighty One of Jacob. I will not enter my house or go to my bed. I will allow no sleep to my eyes or slumber to my eyelids till I find a place for the Lord, a dwelling for the Mighty One of Jacob. And so the psalm reflects on the past moment of David as a great king who brings the presence of God, the lost ark, back to Jerusalem. It celebrates that. It honors David for his good work. And then you read later on down in the Psalm, verse 11, the Lord swore an oath to David, a sure oath he will not revoke. One of your own descendants I will place on your throne. If your sons keep my covenant and the statutes I teach them, then their sons will sit on your throne forever and ever. And so we know how this goes. David's sons blow it. They don't follow the Lord. And so really, in the lineage of kings after David, there is no one as good as he is or spectacular as he is, and everything falls apart. Really, the kingship ideal falls apart. The whole country falls apart. They don't follow God. And so the hopes and prayers of the Anointed One, a king in a place, in a kingdom, falls apart. Verse 13 talks about how important it is to God. It says, for the Lord has chosen Zion. He has desired it for his dwelling, saying, this is my resting place forever and ever. Here I will sit enthroned, for I have desired it. I will bless her with abundant provisions. Her poor I will satisfy with food. I will clothe her priests with salvation, and her faithful people will ever sing for joy. And so as we read that psalm, and we think about this psalm, we understand that it wasn't fulfilled in David's time through an earthly king, as we understand it in the Old Testament, but that it was fulfilled in Jesus Christ, the ultimate king who will bring the ultimate kingdom, the perfect king who lived the perfect life and gave his life perfectly for this amazing presence of God with us. He and God will be with us forever. And so there's a zeal here, a desire for this beautiful, radiant presence of God to be with the people. And ultimately, in the Jewish context, it's never fulfilled. Yet, in the context of Christ as the Anointed One, the Messiah, it is perfectly fulfilled. And so Jesus came, he died, he gave his life, he was the perfect king in humility, and he took on this role not only for Israel and for the Jewish people, but really for the whole world. And so it applies to all of us as we anticipate Jesus as the ultimate king who takes the ultimate throne in the ultimate place on earth that is made new in the future. So this psalm looks back at the past, and it looks forward to this perfect king that can't be fulfilled through David. You know, it makes me think of Revelation 21, where John, in his vision from God, he says he sees a new heaven and a new earth, for the old has passed away, and he sees the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven, and it says there that God is with us. And this is connected to this Psalm 132, that there's this future event as we anticipate the world being God's dwelling place and his people, all those who put their faith in Jesus Christ, in this perfect place forever. It's a fulfillment of this psalm. It's a fulfillment of this ideal of a king and a priest, Jesus, the perfect high priest who makes all things perfect and good and right on this earth. And so they saw it back then. They hoped for it back then, and it is fulfilled in Jesus Christ. So it's a unique psalm. It helps us anticipate the reality of Jesus' return and his place on earth. I think devotionally, I just think it gives us a true north. It reminds us that our hope is in Jesus Christ. As we move through our days here on earth, that as we look at the brokenness of the world and shattered lives and all the things that aren't fulfilled around us, we put our hope in Jesus Christ. We anchor on him. We have our true north on Jesus as the presence of God with us. So I hope Psalm 132 encourages you, to know that God is at work through his Son, Jesus Christ. And we can count on that. There will be no failure in him. He will deliver. He has delivered, and we will see it soon. God bless. Take care. We'll talk again.